The situation is so weird because we are literally on our final step before forming a massive pattern that could take Bitcoin way higher. I mean, literally the last time we formed this kind of pattern, Bitcoin pulled a 6x return. We went up to $64,000. So if we did the same kind of thing right now, we'd be looking at like, I don't even know, I can't do that math, like $180,000 Bitcoin. Absolutely crazy shit. And it is to do with the fractal setup that I was outlining to you guys in one of my recent videos, actually in many of my recent videos, showing you how Bitcoin previously formed all of the exact same things that we formed on this chart. So much that it's just weird. It's creepy, man. Like, I mean, look at the similarities here. We had a big move up. We had a prolonged period of consolidation. Here's a big move up with a prolonged period of consolidation. The consolidation kind of starts to narrow towards the end, and we actually change up the time frame so you can see this in a similar way. You know, we kind of we narrow up to the end, we get ready for that big explosion, we break out higher, and then we consolidate sideways. We even have that like last little dip before we actually go down properly, and then we fall down and we enter, and this is where we are right now. We enter a consolidation pattern before absolutely lifting off. This is crazy. If this actually plays out and Bitcoin does something similar, we could be looking at some huge gains, but it is very important to be able to trade those gains in the right places. Guys, I want to highlight this to you if you're not already aware. Bybit is actually going to be introducing mandatory KYC within the next like 5 or 6 days. It's a super short time frame that they're implementing this. It's because of regulations and stuff like that. It's out of their control. But if you're looking for a platform to trade on, then consider BingX. This is one of the platforms that I'm using here with up to $5,000 in bonuses, and it's, you know, the standard things that I would look for in an exchange as far as being perfect for me to use. It must have proof of reserves 1-to-1. They do that. It must have good liquidity. They've got that. It must have the right markets that I want to trade. You know what? This is the craziest part about it, and this is what I wanted to highlight to you guys, is if you actually take a look at what's going on with the market section here, we've got stocks, forex, indices, commodities available to trade right here on BingX, which is absolutely crazy. They are allowing you to trade all of these. You can trade gold, you can trade the S&P 500, forex pairs, Tesla, all with a Bitcoin deposit and with up to, over $5,000 in bonuses that they're going to give you when you sign up using my link in the description to this exchange below. So definitely check it out. I am new to this exchange, but I've signed up to it. I've been using it, and I wanted to bring this up to you guys because if you need a place that doesn't require KYC now, BingX is going to be your place to be, right? To be able to trade all of those markets without KYC is absolutely huge. Of course, if you're already on Bybit and the KYC news doesn't affect you, then good enough. Not everybody is going to have to care about this, but if that is something which is important to you now, you have a beautiful option. You have the very same option that I'm going to be using myself as well. I want to be clear with you, I'm going to continue to use Bybit as well. So if we bring it back to this pattern here that we've got on the chart, specifically this kind of consolidation, this was really just the final step in this process right here. You know, we came back down to revisit basically the highs of our previous range. On this occasion, we did fall down a little bit lower. We revisited the lows of our previous range, not the highs. We didn't quite find support that early, but that's okay. We then started to move up a little bit, and our reaction up was even stronger. So we're just more extreme to the downside and more extreme to the upside. But what we're in now is potentially the beginning of this sort of consolidation pattern, right? Because, well, what did the consolidation pattern consist of? It consisted of a low and a higher low and a higher low after that, and then liftoff, and we've got the low, we've got a higher low, and if we punch in a higher low after this, then we could be ready for something similar, right? If the market ends up doing something a little bit like this, because that's exactly how it went last time. We punched in a high, a lower high, a slightly lower high after that, and that was when the market ended up lifting off. We are so close to fulfilling this exact pattern, and what's weird about all of this is that it doesn't really feel like we're on the edge of something so huge, right? I mean, it's important to note that this happened in a different kind of place in the market. First of all, the market from its low up to this point it took 200 days, but it also went up by 180%. That's a 2.8 times gain. Okay, so that was a big percentage increase, and a very long time frame. For right now where we're at, it's been 54 days and we're up by 46%. So the numbers just aren't different. The numbers just aren't the same. But also it's the kind of environment that we entered this from. We had multiple years of bear markets, and to be fair, this is actually where the similarities start creeping in, because we've had a really long bear market as well over here. Quite long actually, if you count it from the 64. Why am I doing this on the 4-hour time frame? It's quite a long. It's been quite a long bear market if you count it from this high, right? Because this high was only ever so slightly higher. Really not much higher than the previous high. So if you say that the bear market started from here and we stopped kind of actively trending up from here, then we've been bearish for an incredibly long period of time. And it's been 757 days. Let's just take a look at what the time frames here are looking at. This might turn into something quite interesting. From the peak over here to that breakout point, that was 1,000 days. So about 70% there, compared to what we did last time. To be fair, I think that's good enough. I mean, it's in the same range. It's not half as, it's not twice as quick. It's not twice as slow. It's okay. It's kind of nearby to that kind of, time range. So I'm not going to fault that. I think that's okay. And so I really think that there's something here. I think that there could be something to this pattern. And again, this kind of stuff in and of itself isn't, that crazy, but it's when we start to, we want to build confluence, right? We want to see if multiple different unrelated things will point to the same conclusion, because that's where you can start to see evidence from a lot of different directions keeps pointing at the same conclusion. So maybe this is true. At least that's how I like to reason. And I think that's a pretty good way to reason. It's definitely served me quite well so far. As you guys know, I am still sitting in my beautifully profitable Bitcoin long position, and I've taken a lot of profits on the way up. This is an outdated screenshot. I've taken much more money than this from my position in profits now, which is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I did trade this on Bybit. So Bybit's obviously probably the best exchange out there. BingX does look very cool. Don't get me wrong. I haven't used them for long enough to give you guys a full review on it. But I have to expect that Bybit is going to stay best in the space. But when Bybit is actually so high above all the other competition, even if an exchange is here, they're still going to be in really good territory, which is why I'm super happy to be using BingX now anyway. It's just the access to the other markets. I'm going to get to this in a second, but there is a real power. And sometimes, guys, you guys already know the deal. Honestly, this even applies to you if you don't care about KYC. There are situations in these markets where, Bitcoin and crypto just isn't making any sense. It's impossible to trade. Nothing's happening. We just had one of those regions with 3 weeks of sideways, right? Literally just now, it just ended a month ago. And and that's pretty common, right? But when that's happening, indices are still moving. The S&P 500 is still moving, right? Gold is still moving. Stocks and so on. You just have access to so many markets here, without even doing KYC. It's kind of ridiculous how well positioned this exchange is right now. Obviously, this is probably going to clamp down on everything eventually, but the options for now are nice. And these guys that, are not as big as Bybit, who are not as big as Binance, that aren't under the scrutiny of regulators as much, they've got that advantage right now. So I think it is worth checking out. Again, just for the simple fact that you've got $5,000 in bonuses that you can get for signing up using my link as well. So it is well worth checking out and taking advantage of in this market. But it's when we start actually seeing that the broader picture, traditional finance, where there's way more money, where it's easier to analyze, if nothing else, where, these things have a really direct impact in my experience on crypto. Again, I mean, people... most people don't. Most people get this, but some people are very vocal about how there isn't actually a particular relationship between Bitcoin and indices and so on. But that's not true. It's very clear that when other big markets around the world, specifically in the United States, for example, are performing well, that people are simultaneously at the same time going to be more happy to take on risk with Bitcoin. It's it makes sense logically, and the data suggests it too. So I don't know why people argue such simple stuff, but anyway, it is where we are. But the setup here looks pretty good to me. I mean, we are struggling a little bit, but that's okay. The last time we came up to this resistance level, we struggled so much that we suffered a 9-10% correction. This time, it's barely even scratching us, right? Like not even 3% down. I think that the S&P 500 is in a pretty good position to continue moving up overall, right? I may be wrong about that, but the probabilities are certainly leaning in that favor according to what I'm seeing with my basic technical analysis outlook. I never do anything complicated because, quite frankly, I don't need to. It's not necessary. The basics get you very, very far. They get you far enough, farther than most people will get for sure, simply because they don't know how to do the basics. They don't understand them. They never learn them properly. They rush to flashy, exciting indicators that will give you an edge, but obviously that doesn't exist. The bottom line here is that Bitcoin is at its final step of forming a potentially explosive rally to the upside, at a time where traditional finance is positioned quite well, at a time where the dollar, and you've heard me talking about this for a while, isn't in, the strongest of spots right now. I mean, it's at the bottom of its support range. It's been stuck here for a while. It's already had a bounce. I mean, it very well could muster another bounce, and it's a support level, so I guess that's what should happen. But at the same time, I'm not really seeing an indication that that's going to happen right now. It's just looking like it's dead, just kind of laying there waiting until the floor collapses beneath it, and then it falls down to the next floor, wherever that floor is. It might not be that far away, but anything with the dollar collapsing now, is going to put a lot of buying pressure, I think, on assets like gold and in turn assets like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up today, and I covered this in the last Bitcoin video, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you missed that. But Bitcoin managed to go up today, if we look at it on a very small time frame like the 1 hour, on the day where gold has gone up as well. Which, I mean, it's a really big sign. It's a really big sign showing us good things here, showing us positive things. Now, obviously, in the short term, this kind of thing can be very different, right? I mean, literally just tomorrow, there is the meeting with the FOMC for interest rates. So we're expecting the interest rate hike and whatever. I already said in the previous video, I think that's going to be priced in. So, priced in means that the outcome of the news event has already been traded before the news event even happened, just because people are anticipating a certain result. Obviously, if they're wrong, then there can be a lot of volatility. But I mean, lately the Fed has been pretty predictable, doing basically exactly what they said. So fair enough. Good for them. I don't know if that's going to continue, and I don't really want to comment on that. If they're going to continue the same rate of hikes. But at the end of the day, things like that can offer temporary setbacks, but that stuff doesn't really speak to the real longer term trends that are quite clear on these charts, right? That stuff just, isn't relevant, compared to the fact that Bitcoin is at its final step of that, kind of forming this consolidation pattern before liftoff. I mean, it's formed every other step so far. I mean, I understand you can call it a coincidence and that past performance doesn't indicate future results, but, I mean, if the coincidence has stopped here, then fine. We just had a big leg up and exactly the same fucking consolidation. Okay, fine. Let's not, pay any more attention to that. But then we get the same BART pattern going up and we get the same consolidation following on afterwards. Guys, I want to put this in perspective for you to show you exactly what this could lead to. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. Like I said, this is obviously quite unlikely given, that the market situation overall is completely different for Bitcoin now. But when we did form this price action, the high that Bitcoin set, more or less uninterrupted, lasted 180 days. So it's 6 months of trending up, and it went up by 515%. That is a 6.15 times return. $10,000 becomes $61,500. And that's without leverage. That's just spot buying. It's fucking crazy. It's unbelievable. And if you measure it up to this leg, which was, all just one move, completely uninterrupted, no real pullbacks on the way up there, it was a 300% move. So, I mean, even if Bitcoin forms like, 100%, which would, and that's still very small, compared to the actual potential that Bitcoin had there. But let's say Bitcoin only does a 100% move. That still means that Bitcoin produces a 100% pump off this level right here. At $28,000, a 100% move would put Bitcoin at $56,000. And that's like an extremely conservative view of what happened last time. Like the last issue with this is that it's a fractal, right? Like, this is what makes it also difficult again, is that it looks so fucking good. But the problem is that it's a fractal. It's like one of the least scientific forms of analysis we can do. And that's not really a problem, because at the end of the day, we're just looking at characteristics and psychology, and these things repeat themselves quite a lot. But, at the same time, you don't want to put too much faith into fractals. They're not the best way to do analysis. I'll be the first one to tell you that. And I have told you guys that many times as well, right? I love fractals, don't get me wrong. They're very exciting. They show up all the time, and a lot of the time they're actually pretty useful in my experience. But it's not going to rank at the top as far as, super accurate analysis goes. And that's just how it is. But that's completely okay. It's another tool for us to use to get a better grasp of what's going on in the market. Guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this one. And like I said, one final time, if you are using Bybit and you don't want to KYC for any reason, BingX is available to you. It's available with the link in the description down below, and you can trade on BingX in exactly the same way as Bybit. It's got the same user interface. It's they're all the same, which is very, very cool. But what really makes BingX stand out is that we've also got access to all of these other markets. We've got stocks, forex, commodities, indices, all available alongside your normal crypto trading, all from a Bitcoin deposit and all without KYC. So check it out with the link in the description down below. You have you have over $5,000 in bonuses available to you as well. So that is really, really cool. All right, guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this one. You know exactly what to do if you have, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.